Well, I'm looking for Tommy over there, but he wandered off somewhere. Hey, oh, hell, hey, everybody. Welcome to Stay Curious. I'm Mark Marquette. We're glad you found us at the American Space Museum YouTube channel. I'm sitting beside one of my new fast friends, Mark Usciak. Hey, buddy, how you doing?
Doing well, Chief. How you doing?
Well, we're good. We got a special program today. We've got you on here. We've got your brother. You're going to talk about Wallops Island. Your brother's going to talk about Mobile Launch Platform 3 that was actually Mobile Launch Platform 1. And why we're talking about that? Because they're dismantling this historic artifact and just going to mold it down into another bridge or something. But we're anxious to hear about the last launch with Russian engines.
Hardware.
Get those out of our country. And then we got a special treat. Carlton Bailey's going to wedge in between the two brothers and talk about the Psyche that he's... Psyche's? Psychic? What is it? It's a mission going to an iron asteroid or a metal asteroid. They don't know if it's completely iron or not. And so we're going to talk about the Psyche mission. Carlton was in the White Room just a couple miles from our building here at Astrotech, where one of our board members, David Mandernick, runs that there. So, and then after this whole show, we'll probably need a psychiatrist to sort out what you heard here. So hope that you all are along for the ride. Tell your friends that they can watch us on YouTube, and tell your friends that we do content like no one else, celebrating the space shuttle 30-year legacy. We had an interview with astronaut Mike Baker yesterday, and we had space worker Jeff Andrus, who is a thermal protection expert, on Tuesday, and you never know who's going to pop up like today's show. And stick around, we're going to do a quick little quiz to see what three of these rocket hobos I'm going to bring up here have the most smarts. So let's kick it off a little bit there. Here is our program today, up there with, I just got to say this, it's a privilege to have these three men as my friends. Did not know who you guys were 2 years ago even.
Yeah.
And it's all because of Stay Curious and you watching it. These three have certainly become wonderful, not just participants, but partners with us here at the American Space Museum. And we're sharing their photography and their antics and everything else going on. So it means a lot that all three of you, the three amigos that have photographed several hundred rocket launches together, call me a friend, and I mean that. So tell us a little, and I want to just say this is when I first really met you and your brother, when Marty took me and Travis Thompson up to the Udvar Hazy Museum up there. That was 2 years ago, believe that?
Wow, yeah.
Yeah. And your brother still has a receding hairline there in there. And then there's Carlton, and I don't know what much we can say about that, but boy, look at this. Look at the coast of Florida there. As he's on top of the vehicle assembly building, and we'll digest that picture later. But also, if you hit your QR code there, it'll take you to over 200 episodes of our there's over 400 episodes up there, over 800. This is show 870 today, guys. Let's give a shout out to Marty Winkle running the board there, Marty.
Marty's the man.
All right.
Marty's the man.
And we're going to see some of Marty's photography here. Say hi, Marty, on that Usciak family microphone.
Hi, Marty.
Well, good. I got a lot out of him today, as usual. Okay, well, let me have a sip of my Stay Curious coffee, and will help us all stay curious today. We want to tell everybody that we had Mike Bakes Baker on yesterday on a recorded show. There's Jeff Andrus. It was on Wednesday. Thursday was Mike. Today's the Rocket Hobos. And next couple weeks, we've got coming up Nick Thomas, the astronaut wrangler, is going to talk about the shuttles of the month, as well as GT5. Jim, the 8 Days or Bust of Pete Conrad and Gordo Cooper. And also we have John Tribe on August 30th to talk about hypergolics. John is one of the most experienced of the NASA people around here. Not NASA, excuse me. He slapped me. Rockwell on the command module. And John is a legend for sure. John Tribe, great supporter of our program and everything here at the American Space Museum. So check those out on YouTube, also on Facebook. But we go live to YouTube, and then Facebook racks the program up, and it'll be there, 5, 6 o'clock in the evening, something like that. Well, we do have a sad thing to report to everybody today, that Carol Bo Bobco passed away. This is off of the Explorers aeronautical website there. The UCX, you came in and told us that about 3 o'clock, and we wanted to confirm it. And sadly, at age 86, going to be 86, he's 85. Carol Bo Bobco, one of the pioneers of the space shuttle, early third of its program, STS-6 pilot, and then commander of the first Atlantis launch, and then STS-51J. So don't know much about Carol Bobco. Do you? I'll ask your brother when he comes up too.
I think my brother knows more. He was at Space Fest, I believe, for at least one of them, maybe more. We photographed his launches and landings. We photographed his a few of his missions. I don't know if we saw all of them, but yeah, he was a good guy. Seemed like a nice guy.
He's participated in some of the fundraising events here at the American Space Museum over the years, so details are just coming out. But Ad Astra to Carl Bo Bobco, one of the truly pioneers, these early shuttle guys. It was an experimental program, honestly, for the entire 30-year program. But to be getting on those birds in 1982, 83, 84, a lot of unknowns still going on. So we will hear a lot about Bo Bobco, and we will have a tribute to him on our Facebook page, as well as Stay Curious next week. Well, you got up early, my friend.
I did. I took a look at the weather this morning and pulled my radar weather app up from our friends John Zarella. He's a big fan of that, and it said clear. So I scooted up to Titusville, right off Route 1, not too far from here, actually.
That was at Spaceview Park? Or?
Close to it. There was a little area down the road from there. So I just pulled off and grabbed that. Got a nice sequence this morning.
Now, did they pull a mobile launch platform out?
They did. I went up a couple days ago, I believe.
Yeah.
So it's out there. I did get some shots of that, too, after I left here.
That's pad 39A, though.
Yeah.
That's right above the sun,
and then
correct?
the Starship Tower. You can see that bigger.
Yeah. I've seen that a few times, and Marty's lived right on the river there. You've seen that a few thousand times, Marty.
Yep.
In your day there. But always beautiful when you see the sun rising over Cape Canaveral Space Force and Kennedy Space Center there. So great shot. We love sharing that.
Yep, thank you.
Go back in time there. Your three amigos have known each other quite a long time. That'd be 30 years ago.
Yeah, what? Jeez.
There's Carlton Bailie on the left there, and you in the middle, and your brother on the right. And do you remember what occasion? I can't see the tail numbers on that.
STS 140.
Oh, return to flight, huh?
Yep.
All right. Important
was,
flight. 2005.
Eileen Collins.
That's
I
right.
believe.
Yeah.
Hope to see her this weekend.
Well, good to look back, and being a shutterbug myself, we hardly ever wasted a frame of film to take pictures of ourselves. Okay. But back when the digital camera, I'm serious. It was you had 24 frames of film in there. You might need that shot for when the governor trips over his a cord or something and falls on his face. So anyway, what we're going to talk about with you? There's the other picture of your brother and you there at Udvar Hazy. That was quite an event, wasn't it?
That
Triple
was
T's uniform put in case there. Discovery met you guys. We had a great time there. Marty got on camera. It was just awesome. And tell us about that facility. Those of you that go to Washington, D.C., this has got to be a bucket list for you space geeks.
Absolutely. That and the downtown museum are the pinnacles of any kind of aviation museum. Plus Dayton. I really like the museum, the Air Force Museum in Dayton. I would list, in my opinion, those are the three top ones in the country. And going out there, it's about, from where we live up in Pennsylvania, it's about a 2.5 hour drive.
You've covered many events as photographers. We've talked about Tom had a photo studio, professional processing for wedding photographers and people that made a living with their lenses there.
Yep.
So
beside the Triple T event, the neatest event there was when they brought Discovery in and swapped out the Enterprise. That was one of my favorite spots to go see, or things to see. That was good.
Absolutely. And not to be outdone, there you are, Carlton Bailie. We'll bring you on here in a minute there. Our beautiful view of the Atlantic Ocean there off the Vehicle Assembly Building. You're 535 feet up there, something like that. Plus you're 5'10", so you're 540. Are you 5'10"? Did you grow an inch? Anyway, of course, you see, you probably don't see that he's a professional photographer at first, and his 3 very professional rigs there. Actually, you got 4. I see one on the tripod on the right. But it must have been cold up there. You got your Catzilla T-shirt on there, and Fodzilla's represented. By Fodzilla's sweater, it must be wintertime there, CB.
Yeah, and the hat was, well, you buy a hat like that in Florida. Well, I bought it in Ohio, and living in Florida, anytime the temperature drops below 70, that's when people get their winter clothes out here. It was probably up in the 50s or 60s, but it was cold enough to justify it, but it was a little warm under the hat. But you only have 1 or 2 open shots a year for it, so.
Do you remember if that was a landing or a launch that you were covering?
It's pointed toward, that might have been the Falcon Heavy, because it's pointed over toward the Falcon pad. Because if it was the way the cameras are angled,
40, you mean?
Is for the SpaceX Falcon pad, possibly an Atlas, but it was something over on the Space Force side. It wasn't a NASA launch.
Well, nonetheless, a one-of-a-kind portrait, wouldn't you think there? Not only be on top of the VAB, but his decor is quite astounding there, TB. So, well, let's get to some business here, buddy. And first of all, explain our beautiful green screen here.
This is a viewing site at Wallops Island that is, believe it or not, is open to the public. It looks like it's all press people there because of their equipment, but it's a site called the NASA Boat Dock, and it's about 2 miles from the Antares launch pad.
And Wallops Island is where?
It is in Virginia, by the Assateague and Chincoteague beaches.
The what?
Where the horses are. They have wild ponies.
I've heard that. Yeah. So name a real town we would understand that's near there.
Well, it's Chincoteague is the actual name. They're beach resort towns. They kind of look like, it kind of reminds me a lot of the Outer Banks.
Okay.
So it'd be like a Duck or a Corolla or something like that.
All right.
But
easy to get to, or
well, me and Steve went down this last mission, and it took us about 4 hours. It's 200 miles from Lancaster. Yep.
All right, great. Well, that's what our green screen is there, and today's amateurs have got the same equipment that you pros use. They just don't know an f-stop from a bus stop.
Well, these guys, I know some of the guys that are on there, and they're good. I see my friend Phil. I don't know if he's going to watch his show.
I'm not saying some of them are good, but
these guys are good. These are actually some of the guys that are there are actual media too, because this site is actually preferred. Well, in some angles and times of day, it's a preferred site better than the press site because of the angle and the lighting and things like that. So the only problem is you got to get there early, because you see those spots.
Yeah.
Some guys will come and set their tripods up 9 or 10 hours before launch and just stake out the spot.
And then they come 10, 20 and a half hour for launch. They see their tripods in the water there. Well, if somebody's kicked it off.
That's the price you got to take, but not for me.
Well, what do we launch there?
Well, this is a Northrop Grumman Antares rocket taking the Cygnus cargo module up to the International Space Station. This is one of my remote camera shots. I'm not sure. They named the numbers, the missions by numbers, all the way from 1 up till 19, which was the last one.
This is the last of the Cygnus?
This is it. Yep.
Oh,
This is the end of that
the
rocket
contract
series.
for NASA to supply the space
Well,
station.
the contract is still going on through Northrop Grumman. It's basically they ran out of rockets. These are Ukrainian-built rockets with Russian-built engines on them that Northrop Grumman, even before it was Northrop Grumman, it was Orbital Sciences. They bought it from the manufacturer over in Ukraine. So they got the stuff, had it shipped here, and then they refurbed it, brought it up to inspection specs, and then have been launching these things. I think the first one was in 2010 or 2012 was the first one. But I was there for the first couple launches and for the rollouts of those, and it was a neat, since it's such a close event. First one. That one was the first one. Okay.
Okay. Well, I'm going to show you the Cygnus cargo cylinder when it's docking with the space station last week here. Didn't have that slide in here to show you what the payload is. But we're going to show you some of the sites behind there. There's
yours truly sitting there at one of the remote camera sites south of the launch pad. And that they let you go out there and set the cameras up a day ahead of time, and we have our basically the same rigs that we use for the shuttle, sound activated camera, and produce the picture that you saw before.
sound activated, not ground
Right.
vibration activated, correct? Those are two ways to do it. There's another
This is actual NASA. This is the Wallops Island media viewing site for that launch pad.
so the rocket, maybe Marty can point the rocket
Yeah,
up there on the
it's-
horizon.
It's out there. You see that big water tower? That's always it's over. If you find a water tower, the rocket's right next to it.
To the
So,
left there.
Yep.
Okay, good.
Yep. So
See, I was wondering if the rocket was in the middle.
well, there's a
sticking up
bunch
there.
of smaller little towers they have out there for smaller rockets, but the Antares is the largest rocket that they fly out of Wallops Island.
Now, what are those people wearing, Marty? What are those? See how those funny outfits that people are wearing? What's that called?
Winter coats.
Oh,
Yes.
gee, and they cover their heads too.
Well, those are they couldn't get Carlton's hat from down here since he was wearing it at the time, so we got to make do for what we got up there.
Yeah, I don't see anybody wearing
Well-
Carlton's hat out there. Okay. But here's a good friend of our museum too.
Yep.
Your friend too. One of the brains behind the Usciak photography machine, Steve Nolte. Hey,
Yep.
Steve.
Yep, I think he's good. He's watching. He said he was going to.
All right.
As is Mr. Tilko. He's been down
John
there for a while.
Tilko.
Yep.
Good to hear from you, buddy.
So this was our last setup down there for this last mission. I believe that's the last.
Weatherproofed
Whether that's not our stuff is I
in the
think-
box up there, right?
Yep,
Yours
yeah,
is-
we've got the box. So this
right.
one was from
Good.
2 missions
Well,
ago.
good, great to have John Tilko. I've met him. His good
Yep.
friend Woody Hobos doing
Hobart.
real well.
Yep,
About halfway
Hobart.
through his mission up there, and
He's about ready to come back.
yep. Any of
pretty
you
good.
that are willing to give us some money to support our Stay Curious or our American Space Museum nonprofit, the U.S. Space Walk of Fame Foundation, there is a thank you button up there on YouTube underneath the tray there. You hit that, and you can give us $2 up to $500 by hitting the increments there. And we sure do appreciate it. Way to support our equipment and our overhead here at our nonprofit. So just a shout out to that. There's the background there we talked about, and there's the rocket in its
This
lair.
well, they call this the Horizontal Integration Facility, or HIF for
Okay.
short. They've always got the acronym. So this is the HIF down at Wallops. And so now this will be being reconfigured to take over. They're still going to make rockets there, but it's going to be another company. It's Firefly is going to basically build the next version of the Antares. So
Okay.
it'll still be called an Antares rocket,
Uh-huh.
but it'll be manufactured in the U.S. with U.S. Engines and hardware.
What kind of payloads? Do you
Same
know?
decent.
Okay.
Same thing. So
To do the Cygnus.
they'll still do the Cygnus.
Okay.
In the meantime, the Cygnus I think is going to be hitching a ride on SpaceX Falcons shots.
And we're not really used to seeing rockets being carried out on their sides like they do in Russia.
Well, they basically learned the best cheapest, more efficient way to do it. The HIF, it's easier to put this thing together this way and roll that out to the pad. This one was also the first mission. I'm glad I went down for these. Met some good friends, and John Ronkowitz, one of the guys that I met down there.
Yes, John Ronkowitz,
John,
one of the
yep.
ace photographers out there.
Yep.
Like to meet him someday myself.
Well, yeah, we'll get him down here. I'll work on that for you.
Mhm.
But they no longer offer this as a media event. I think they stopped it after the third mission for one reason or another. But I was fortunate enough to be there for those earlier flights, so I've got these shots. And now they're it's just the NASA and the contractor photographer they do that. But that only rolls out like 3 or 4 days before launch.
Nice evening light or morning light
Morning
on
light.
that there.
That is a morning light.
Wow. And as a professional photographer myself for the Associated Press, it's always good to see people try to get outside the box. You're going to see a one-of-a-kind photo here next, folks. And it's not a trick of your eye or
Nope.
or whatever. So you've got tell us what's going on here.
Well, this is a time-lapse shot, which this was the first time they erected it from after it goes up a ramp on a like a crawler, and then that's motorized, and then it just goes up until it's in the vertical position. This one, since it was the first time, they were doing it kind of slow, and then they had wind constraints. So you're right there. The ocean is literally right behind that picture, right behind the pad. And once the wind got up to a certain amount of knots, they'd have to stop until the wind died down. So normally they can do that and get it up in like 10 minutes. But this one, it was like this, and then it stopped for 10, 15 minutes, and it went up a little bit more and stopped. And I literally had to stand in the same spot and not move for an hour.
So it's not
everybody
Photoshopped.
else-
This is one image.
Well, this is photoshopped of 5 images.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Okay, so they're basically, I laid them on top of each other and then just masked in. So they're,
And where'd you get the inspiration for that?
well, as a young lad, I saw a picture of Gemini 10 back in the film days in the 60s. I guess it would have been 65, 66.
Sure would have been 66.
And it was in, I don't know if it was a Life magazine
Well,
or.
here is that famous image.
There you go, brother. That's it.
Yes.
I saw that and said,
You wanted to duplicate
I
that someday.
wanted to do that modernized. Yep.
I forget the photographer who did this, but it was one of the pool photographers, and they always would share one photo. All right, the pool photographers would all kind of draw hats, and either Associated Press, Reuters, UPI, Lifetime would supply the main photo because they couldn't have people all over the pad back then.
Okay.
And so this was those of you photographers out there, that was done on a piece of film, and the photographer actually masked off with cut out on the actual negative. Tommy, you understand how that was done.
Yep.
And I don't remember the guy's name, but Ralph Morris. Ralph Morris, there you go. Who do you work for?
Time, life.
Time, yeah, Time. And really one of the most incredible single frame shots of the space age, really. And there you go. You did a good job, my friend. Looks cool there. So there's the beast on the pad.
Yep.
Now, what are we, about 150 feet?
No,
Falcon 9's 220.
Yeah, that's about 120, I think.
Okay,
I
about
think
100
it's
feet
about
shorter than
100,
Falcon 9.
It's about 120.
What does it sound like when it goes up?
Well, it's got
that?
that was the rollout. That was again the first rollout, and it was freezing cold. I can remember. That's, you can see the two Russian engines that powered that thing.
So there's no more Russian engines on the American soil over there, right? We got rid of those things.
That's it. That was.
But they were
those
good and
the last
efficient.
ones. Except for that one mission where they had a little incident there. I think it was the 6th launch.
Yeah,
They
that one blew up.
Yeah, they lost one of those.
So there's your launch the other night, August the 6th, I believe, something like that. August 4th or 6th, somewhere in there.
Yep. That was, it looks like it's night, but the way you have to expose the film, or film, listen to me talk.
Yeah,
film,
right.
expose the shot, you get to, in order to freeze the rocket and to get some detail, you've got to shoot it as if it's a daytime launch.
So what's the
And-
similarities or differences from doing a nighttime SpaceX launch here?
Well, SpaceX I think is brighter than this, but it's pretty much the same. I mean, you've got, once that rocket gets 100 feet up off the pad, 200 feet, it's nothing more than a blob of light. So the main shots you want to get are within the first 5 seconds of flight. After that, you know.
Well,
that's
you
it.
pulled off a very beautiful photograph here, folks. Look at this gorgeous shot. Literally 1 second later, that's gone. There's there's nothing to 3, 2, 1, 2, 3. It's gone.
Yep.
Like that. 3, 2, 1, lift off. Then bingo, it's gone.
It's
Gorgeous.
inspired by a lot of the photography that I've seen from other photographers down here that are shooting the
Flame
the
and
Falcon. So that's 1/4000th of a second at f/22
wow.
at ISO 200. I think I have it set at.
Jeez.
And
Completely out of the bounds of reasoning
boom.
for photographers.
Yeah.
And then massage a little bit. And I love the color of the flame of the cloud beneath the flame there, as that cloud's reflecting all those colors there.
Yep.
But very rich shots. That's a keeper there,
You see
my
all
friend.
the ice
Mark
falling
Usciak.
down. You see on
The ice?
on the right side
Yeah.
there. You see those little ice, those little white specks of ice that's shaking off the side.
And the launch result was this docking of the Cygnus NG-19, which was named after Laurel Clark of Columbia Mission. They named them all SS Laurel Clark, and honored a lot of people from El Onizuka, I know, to others up there. Very efficient little way to take 4 tons of cargo up to the space station, and it's grappled by the arm.
Yep.
And then brought over and docked at a certain port there. I guess it's got why does it have the solar panels on it?
Well, it needs that to be able to. It does have little engines on the back. Once it gets into space, it maneuvers close to the space station, and then it stops there, and then they reach out and grab it and pull it in. So they also need those engines after it's up there. I think it's in the process now of being loaded with trash, and then that'll basically be a throwaway trash can of all the stuff that they have up in the space station. So they're taking 8,000 pounds of fresh food, water, hardware, spacesuits, computers, cameras, whatever, and then they transfer all that out and then load trash that they've been accumulating in the space station for the last 2 or 3 months, and then push it away, and it burns up.
Well, good. Well, put a button on your experience there out there at the Wallops Island, and I guess it would be the 3rd rated launch port in America behind KSC Space
And
Coast
Vandenberg.
and Vandenberg.
Yep.
It's very active in a way, right?
Well, they do a lot of research rockets out of there, a lot of sounding rockets. So this is the Antares flies twice a year, and then they also fly multiple times a year with different payloads for colleges and corporate doing sounding rocket things, whatever they do on those. I don't want to say all the stuff that they do. I don't even know what they do, but I know those things are really hard to shoot. I mean, they take off like it's like a giant model rocket, and they take off.
Pop bottle rocket.
Absolutely. I mean, I photographed 2 of them, and you just stand back. You don't even look through the camera. I mean, I have the thing zoomed in, framed, and when I hear the countdown, when the guy says 1, I just push the trigger and the camera fires, and it gets what it gets. It gets me 3 or 4 good shots, and mission accomplished.
Excellent. Well, thank you for that little report on Wallops Island. Do you know what your next assignment out there will be?
At Wallops, not until they get the Firefly built, and that'll probably be another 18 months or so, I think, until
We'll be looking forward to that. We'll do a Future Friday on the
There you go.
Firefly program there one day. And thank you, Mark. We're going to
You're
bring
welcome.
CB up here in a minute, but give us tell us about why you're in town this week.
Well, I this was a trip that kind of came together at the last minute. A friend of mine, Steve Worth, offered me a ticket to an event over in Orlando this weekend for the Astronaut Scholarship Foundation.
It's the Neil Armstrong
The
Excellence Award where they
awards.
give the scholarships out.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So a ticket freed up. He asked me if I wanted it, and I said, "I'm here." So
Good.
I'm here.
Free food, dozen astronauts, and all kinds of VIPs, and so I'm sure you'll be clicking some pictures.
Hope to see some friends, space hipsters. I know Emily Carney's going to be there.
Mhm.
My good friend Mark Larson is the MC. He's flying in. Actually, he's on his way here now from San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
He MCs certain events. Between him and John Zarella, they kind of carry different events for the ASF, and got to know Mark really well. He was the MC for the Space Fest events in Arizona.
Well, good luck
So,
with that. We look
thank
forward to
you.
you sharing some of those photos.
I
with
will
us.
do that. I
We'll
promise.
share them on there. All right, good. Well, let me look out there in the audience out there and see, there he is. Come on over here, CB. Carlton Bailie coming to the stage here on our Stay Curious studio.
Bring my
We've been hearing thunder and going on as we're hit with another rainstorm. In the low 90s now, but getting a lot better. Let me get over here a little
He's
bit.
got to work his key.
There, I'll hit off screen there. Let me get the Stay Curious visual center set up here and set you guys up there to talk. Now, Mark, you're here just to keep him straight, okay? Keep him correct on there. But Carlton Bailie, great to have you here today.
Good to be back.
All three of these guys here today.
Good to be back.
And you've been staying busy with the noisy rockets coming off our Space Coast here every about 2 a week now.
Yeah, they're getting to. I kind of complained to myself. It took me 30 some years to get 600 rockets, and these little guys out there now are going to get 600 rockets in like 3.5 years. The way Elon's doing it.
You
But
photographed over 600 launches, huh?
When Lucy went up a couple years ago, that in my mind was like the 625th.
Mm-hmm.
And then I keep losing track. I write it down, but I'm not as smart as you guys with a little whiteboard. And after every launch, you go up there and add another
Well,
one. I do, but then I lose where I wrote it down, so I have to start all over again.
That's why we have the whiteboard. We don't lose that unless it falls off the wall there.
Well,
But,
I'm constantly cleaning the casa up in case
well, you did
people
some-
come in town.
You did something different last week that
did.
doesn't happen very often. It used to, but it's quite a privilege to be out there. You were involved with this mission here. And right there is tell us what we're looking at there, Carlton.
That is the
Thank you, Marty. Good move. I'm
Psyche.
going to move over here a little bit there. That's good, Marty.
I still am fair with it. Psyche or Psyche. That's bad, but
Psyche, I guess.
it's a
Psyche.
satellite that's going to launch, and it's going up to this asteroid, which is the Psyche asteroid. And it was, what did we say, the 11th or 12th asteroid ever discovered. It's about 140 miles across.
Pretty big.
And they want to go up and find out if this is a heavy metal material or if it's just regular space material. And by finding out what it's made of, they're hoping that it's made of the same stuff that our own Earth's core is made of.
So that'd be Metallica, Deep Purple,
Megadeth.
what other Megadeth. Those would be the heavy metals that we'd be looking for there.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Well, that's what they've got. They cleared off. You see where the pits.
Exactly.
Those are the mosh pits.
Well, that's the mosh pits
Those
they're
are
ready
the mosh
for it.
pits,
Yeah,
yeah.
all right. I thought those were the speakers
Oh,
for the band.
Intergalactic
The heavy
speakers.
metal band there. Well, you had the privilege of being inside a facility, Astrotech, that one of our board of directors members, David Mandernick, is over that.
I have never had a bad experience there. They are the most polite. They work with you. You've got to wear these what they call the bunny suits, and they from head to toe, they get you safe to go in there. They give you the hair bonnets, the facial thing if you have facial hair.
Well, let's just show what you look like there with that
And
garb on
So yeah, that is me, and of course I.
That's not tape across your mouth, though, is it?
No,
Underneath
they
there. Masking tape underneath there.
Duct tape.
Duct
No,
tape.
that was. In fact, this one we had to wear one of those. Well, for lack of a better term, one of those COVID type masks,
Uh-huh.
and then they put this other.
Nothing wrong with that.
With the blue thing is called like a beard guard,
Mm-hmm.
and so if you have any kind of facial hair, they make you wear that.
And why do we do that?
They do that so that if you scratch yourself and a tiny hair comes off and lands on one of the cameras or on a sensitive material that's on the satellite, once it goes into space, because everybody at least once has probably had some kind of a hair or a piece of dust on their camera lens, and they go back to take the picture and they go like, I should have cleaned my lens off. Well, when you're a billion miles away, or I'm sorry, 140 million miles away or so, you can't do that. So they have to have this sterile and clean, and they can't have any kind of what they call FOD, or foreign object debris, anywhere near it. So they make you do that. But then you look at it, and I've never really realized that. I look at it and go like, well, but they don't cover your eyebrows.
Yeah.
And
well, I worry about cleaning your cameras off.
They clean
But-
your cameras.
do they?
You
Okay.
put them on a table, and the nice people over there, very cautious, but they clean them with alcohol.
Because it's the
and
biological, too. You don't want germs to be carried on this.
Exactly.
And go into we find life somewhere and we find out it's Carlton Bailie DNA on this. My
Well,
God, he's all
and-
over the universe.
Well, one day.
Yeah.
And also, photographers don't always go to the most and take pictures in the most sterile of places.
Yeah.
So you don't know what may be on your
Right, that's
cameras.
true.
So, but it was, here you can see the solar panels.
Tell us a little bit about the mission here, and then we'll see some close-ups.
Okay,
there.
well, the mission, you're looking at this picture was for the original launch date back in August of last year. But I'm not sure, it might have had something to do with software issues, so they delayed it to this year. And by the year's delay, it also added 4 years to the time it's going to take it to get to the asteroid. It's right now it's scheduled to launch on a Falcon Heavy, October 5th at I think it was like 10 something in the morning.
Good. October 5th. All right.
10:38 a.m. from pad 39A, and the window goes to the end of October. And then they have to stand back because of where it's going first to Mars to do a zip around Mars gravity assist so it
There
can
you
get
go.
more speed up and more power. This is, well, first, it's the first interplanetary payload for Falcon Heavy, unless you count the car, but I don't think we count the car. And what it's going to do, this launch is not using, for lack of a better term, chemical propulsion and mix, any of that. It's using solar energy. And so when it goes up, it's the panels will unfold. There's 5 panels on each side. They are going to supply the spacecraft with all the power. And rather than firing an engine to correct their course here, firing it there, their engines will pretty much, if I understood it correctly when I talked to them, the engines will be firing close to the whole time going up there. And because they're powered by the solar panels, it costs, you'll use about 10% of the power to get there that it would take to get if you were using chemical
Okay.
kind of things. This is one of the workers there that we had just for size perspective. So it's about the size of an SUV maybe.
Panels are folded out like an accordion. There you can
Right.
see them there on the left side really good.
And the thing at the top there, the silver thing at the top, that's the deep space optical communication. And one of the other things they want to do is they're trying to, because it's so far away, that they're trying to use a laser system, and they call it the deep space optical communications. And what happens is they're going to try to send all the data back to Earth by way of lasers.
Wow, very
And
interesting.
that way they can send the data is anywhere from like 10 to 100 times faster, I think, than if they were trying with the radio communications. So that's what that is. This one is the, that's going to be the gamma ray spectrometer and the neutron spectrometer.
I was going to mention that, yes, where this asteroid is between Mars and Jupiter is a good 300 million miles away.
Right.
So the time delay with the laser will be less.
Right.
In there.
And
So,
somewhere March to May of 2026 is when it's going to do the gravity assist. And then it's actually going to get to the asteroid after a journey of 2.5 billion miles. It'll get there roughly August of 2029.
okay. So the August of 2029. So there'll be a Christmas rock concert of the heavy metal
Well,
bands
you
in
know,
December, right?
I'm not the optimum person you want to interview anybody because I do think outside the box, just like Mr. Usciak. So I asked one of the spokespeople there, and I said, look, this is a photo opportunity inside the clean room of a heavy metal type communication satellite and going up to find out if an asteroid is heavy metal. Where's Megadeth for the photo op in front of the thing? And basically the response I got was a very sly smile and something to the extent of, just hold on, just wait.
Yeah.
Just wait. So
Good. That could be
it
something
could
in there.
be that when they launch it, some heavy metal band, maybe Ozzy Osbourne will be there.
Maybe Brian May of Queen will crank
That's-
out. He's got a PhD in
That's
astronomy.
right. That's right.
Maybe he could add some licks to that. So, well, Carlton, good book report there on Psyche there, and we'll look forward to your photographs of that launch coming up here.
I was extremely psyched.
Yeah. Who you got there with you?
Oh, that is Fozzie, the foreign object debris.
Yeah, there he is, and he has got the first place Braves
That's right.
baseball team on
Best
there. Huh?
best record in major leagues this year.
Yeah, is that
Anyway,
right?
his real name is Buck. If you want to look him up on Facebook,
Is
he
it,
has become a launch mascot.
I mean, how many astronauts have held this that I'm holding? About 5 or 6, right?
Probably.
I know Bill
at least
MacArthur and
15 or
Nicky
20.
Stott.
Nicky Stott, Bill Nye the Science Guy. Two of the guys that were in the rubber suits have held him. So he's better off than I am when it comes to meeting people.
2 Renaissance men here, both one normal, the other
And I
self-proclaimed.
take my hat off
eclectic.
to both Mark and Tom. And it's funny that the only guy wearing a hat is the one without the receding hairline.
Right. Thank you.
Anyway.
Well, that is a perfect segue. This next guy here, Brother Tom Usciak. Come on up here, Tommy. We'll have you come on board here. Tommy's going to talk about. I'm going to go off camera here. Get in there.
Do you want me to go
my
off
friend.
camera or
Yeah.
stay here?
We've got a
And,
question, Mark.
I hope Marty's got a question. I'll bet it's from Chris Callie because he's jealous and he's not here.
Either that or John Tilco.
Yeah. Go ahead, Marty, on that UCAC family microphone.
We got a question from Dave Stangy.
Oh, our
all right.
top diamond watcher, Dave.
Mark and Carlton, if you could visit one of the 6 Apollo landing spots and take a picture there, what site would you visit and what would you take a picture of?
Ooh.
I'll break mine's Apollo 15 without a doubt. Hadley Rill.
Absolutely.
I'd stand at the end of that rill and with a long lens and shooting down there like Dave Scott did.
Well, not only would I like to do that, but I would like to climb up on the ladder of the descent stage and redo Dave Scott's panoramic
Oh,
from the top of the
yeah, the only
Descent stage. Yep.
stand-up EVA out the hatch
Yep.
there. Yeah, good question, Dave Stangy. Thank
Well,
you. We got some questions at the end of the show here.
You don't
Then we're going
get
to see who's the smartest of the 3
I don't get to
amigos
go to
here.
the moon.
So I got the 3 amigos here. Yeah.
I would real quick. I would go back to Apollo 11, and maybe it's the American spirit in me, but I would go
I
back
see
to
the flag
Apollo
waving
11 and take a picture of that flag. And I would, before I go, I would make sure that the camera I took was capable of selfies.
Tommy, what Apollo site would you like to see?
I would like to see 17. with those mountains in the background, and go up and take a look at the lunar rover that's there from 15, 16, and 17, and just take a good walk around that descent stage.
Good,
And,
good. I'd take an extra battery from you on 15 and drive the rover around.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. Well, good question there. We got some questions we will have at the end here and see which of these three amigos scores the highest on some simple space technology questions that Marty came up with here. But Tom, great to see you.
Thank you.
Traveling down here with your brother, did you sleep in the back seat all the way, or did you help him navigate?
Front seat.
Front seat.
Oh, okay.
Front seat.
All right.
The back seat was occupied.
All right. You guys from Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and how's things going up there? Did you have a nice summer?
We had an interesting summer. Our dog was attacked by the next door neighbor dog, so pretty much our whole month of June was recuperating with the dog, and
Oh my gosh.
and we missed our week at the beach this year, which wasn't that great, but we're going to try and make it up.
Good. Well, we're glad little Erica's gotten better, and our fur babies are important to us.
And we have a new addition.
Good.
We have a new Pomeranian that's going to be Erica's little playmate, a little boy dog named Comet.
Good. Excellent. All right. Well, let's kick off your part of the show here. We won't ask Carlton about his furry friends because we'd be here an hour, but we're going to. Oh, I've got the controls here, and we are going to talk about Mobile Launch Platform 3 that's being dismantled. But Tom Usciak, it's really not Platform 3, is it? Let's look at the picture here that Marty took these pictures. Marty, explain when you were out there, please.
I mean, I get the name straight here. You just changed it on me.
Yep. The what? Okay. There. Yeah. Here's the first, that's the first one there.
Yeah, that's the MLP3, obviously. That's the east side, or facing the east, I should say. They haven't done much work on that, but if you go back to the other side, that's the south end of it. Yeah, you can see it's just being torn apart. I couldn't even recognize it. I mean, I knew it was MLP3, but you couldn't recognize it as MLP3.
It was not pretty. They took us by that when we went out to set cameras up for the Falcon Heavy, I think. And to a man or woman on the bus, it was like, can we just stop and grab one little tiny piece because it's history? And it was because it's history and you're seeing it go like that. It was, everybody just kind of went.
Tom, tell us what kind of history occurred on this mobile launch platform, the base to space.
Well, Mobile Launch Platform 3, which the term Mobile Launch Platform was used during the shuttle days, but Mobile Launch Platform 3 was built and first used and known as Saturn Mobile Launcher 1. And Mobile Launcher 1, of course, was the first one built, and it was used for some of the most historic missions in the Apollo program. Apollo 11, right there, was launched off of Platform 1, or Launcher, forgive me, Mobile Launcher 1, as well as the first Saturn V, Apollo 4, and the lunar orbital mission of Apollo 8 was also launched off of Mobile Launcher 1. And then the final use of it was in the Apollo-Soyuz project there, and it had the pedestal, the bar stool, built on there to accommodate the smaller Saturn 1B rocket that have made it compatible with the upper part of the Saturn V as far as the fuel and swing arms. And this way they could shut down Pad 34 and do all the processing for the Skylab and Apollo-Soyuz program in the vehicle assembly building and roll it out to the Saturn pads and operate there. And it was a very, very efficient way, and I'm always in awe of the guy that invented the the pedestal there.
Milk stool
milk
or
stool.
bar stool?
Bar
You
stool, I've
thirsty
heard
there?
it called pedestal, bar stool, milk stool. I've heard it all.
Well, and very interesting piece of space trivia, of course, why that's there and so forth. Why did it get the name MLP3?
Okay, let's follow this now. This
Yes.
is a little. After the final Apollo launch, Apollo 17, Saturn V Apollo launch was on Mobile Launcher 3. Then that mobile launcher was taken back and it was dismantled, and part of it was erected out on Pad A there as the fixed service structure, it was called. And that is the upper part of the mobile launcher. And then the platform was just stripped down to its base and modified for the shuttle. So Columbia, STS-1, and the first group of them, I think the first 5 missions took off from Shuttle Mobile Launch Platform 1, which was originally Mobile Launcher 1. Or, yeah. this is, but anyway, that's how it went. And
Who's on first? Who's on 3?
Mobile Launcher number 1 sat outside for many years right there because there was a plan I used to get direct mail about, that they wanted to try and save that as a historical device because of its history, of what took off from there. And they were going to preserve it. And I don't know where they were planning to keep it. I think it might even have been right there, outside the VAB. I can't see how they would get it really anywhere else. And they could never raise the adequate amount of funds to do that. So it was the last one to be scrapped, and it became then Mobile Launch Platform MLP-3.
Yeah, great little story there. There's Marty there, took a picture of, is that the Charmut kid out there?
Like
Mike Charmut, his dad?
Frank, I'm sorry.
Oh, Frank, okay.
From Franklin.
Yeah, Frank Lynn. And Marty, you brought back something for our collection here. I got right there. Right, and I have it up there also. There we go. I got a picture of it up there, Marty.
That's a
I'm
big
showing.
one.
Yeah, that's the big one. What is that?
That's
A vibration isolator.
The
The equipment's mounted on that, so during launch, it absorbs some of the vibration.
You cannot push that. That you think it's like a spring that you can move it, but boy, you can. Feats of strength there, Carlton. It's Festivus for the rest of us.
I don't want to show you guys up, so I'll
Oh yeah, right.
as soon as the camera stop rolling, I'll show you how it's
Yeah,
done.
okay, all right. But good. Well, thank you, Tom. That was an excellent little thing about what's going on out there. Of course, we did our Shuttle Fest 2. Is about the Mobile Launch Platform 2, and they've actually made some tokens that they're selling off of there. We can't find out if they're doing anything about that. We can get a hold of Frank out there and let him know.
Well, Mobile Launch Platform 2 is the only one of them that did not change its numerical designation. Saturn Mobile Launcher number 2 became MLP for the shuttle number 2. So that's one that just was easy to track its changes because it didn't swap numbers.
All right, great. Well, we got a question here, a comment for the three amigos. Marty?
You got a comment from Doug Forrest. He said, Lot 1, which is a launch umbilical tower, was going to be erected where the space mirror is now.
Okay. Thank you, Doug. I did not know that.
They're going to put it out the space mirror, Doug says? No.
So I guess
they were
going to pretty much disassemble it and reassemble it there.
Doug was part of Doug Forrest, artist of Los Angeles. We all know him. he was involved with trying to save one of the Lut or something, and it never
Right.
never
Okay. I
happened.
didn't know that. But Doug, thank you, and I'll be out to see you when they get Endeavor stacked.
Oh wow, good, good. Well, I guess I'll be in his trunk when I come out there. Okay, so save me a spot out there. All right. Well, we got Dave Stange watching. Robert Laws enjoying his Friday evening cocktail up in Dundee, Scotland. Cheers to you, my friend. Cynthia Rossi, great to see her. Doug Forrest, Bill Whiting's up in Michigan, enjoying the final days of tolerable weather up there, and getting ready for his Michigan Spartans to kick off. And Neil 1030, I swear that's got to be Neil Young. All right, watching us there with who's he married to now? He's married to an actress,
Daryl Hannah.
Daryl Hannah. Yeah, we're gonna pretend they're watching. Stay curious. And Lisa Marie Leahy's watching today.
Oh, Lisa.
You know Lisa there?
I know Lisa.
So
She's
we
over
got a
in
little
Tampa.
way to go out the show here. Marty put together for these geniuses here.
Oh, here we go now.
So an engineer is going to ask a photographer question.
That's right.
This
that's
ought to be
right.
great.
So to go out with today's show.
Really easy questions.
Yeah.
Long answers only.
All right. Well, I didn't have time to put them up on the screen here, but we're going to give it to you this way. Question number 1, and you each say true or false, and we'll see who at the end here's got the most. So, number 1, Apollo 13 has the record for being the furthest spacecraft crewed from Earth at 248,655 miles. True or false?
True.
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 True. True. Y'all three got it right. It's true.
I'll just say what he said.
The second one here is during the Apollo 13 mission, after the oxygen tank blew, Gene Kranz pulled his engineers together to figure out how to bring the crew back safely. And he said, quote, failure is not an option, unquote. Did Gene Kranz really say that, true or false?
False.
False.
What he said. False.
False?
False.
All 3 is right. False. Anyone want to comment why that's an urban myth?
Isn't that what
But
they
it
said
is.
in the movie? Or
I don't know.
I think they used that terminology in the movie
Later,
Apollo 13.
But he
And
signs things that.
When they were in the room trying to plan it, when he had the copy or the overhead machine there, and said that we never lost a crew on my watch. We're not going to lose one now. Failure is not an option.
All right, you guys, let's see how good you get this one. Rocket launches are referred to as space shots. Where did that originate from? Did it originate from that before the Mercury program, missiles were being blown up routinely, those Atlases, Thors, Vanguards. And they were said that they were launched like volatile cannon shots, like a military cannon. And that's where the term space shots came from, equating it to a military cannon shot. True or false, Mark Usciak?
I would say
Now,
true.
this is Marty Winkle.
I would say true, but are you sure that didn't come from one of the local bars down here?
The mousetrap.
Mousetrap.
I would say false.
False.
Ooh.
Carlton says false. You say true.
I say false.
You say false. It is true
Ooh.
that the launches were called volatile cannon shots, and they were being referred to as shots or space shots.
There goes our perfect season.
So there's it's
Now that we got that out there.
Mark is up 1.
You know,
All
we
right.
were paid
All
for
right.
dinner tonight.
Here's a good one. Think this through, folks. Of the 11, right, Marty? Apollo missions, how many of them were scrubbed? The Apollo missions of Saturn V or S-1Bs, how many were scrubbed?
You mean didn't go on their
And
launch
it
date?
didn't go the day they were specified to go.
How many?
How many were
They
scrubbed?
constructed on the launch pad.
I say 1.
Carlton says 1.
Or 2.
I say none. I don't ever remember a walk back.
Okay.
Well, he's saying the original time. Because Apollo 17 was scheduled to go on the 6th. And they pushed it into the window, so it actually went on the 7th.
Marty,
That's not being scrubbed. It
Wasn't.
it was just rescheduled.
It was delayed.
get on the phone.
Okay.
Hit the mic there. So
Okay. So, as far as being scrubbed?
No.
No, none. There was the delays, but
You say none for Tom.
None.
You say one. The correct answer is, Marty,
None.
none. All right, 14 was delayed 40 minutes and 2 seconds due to weather.
right.
And that's the only one, which is an incredible fact
And
of this
17.
complicated.
17
So,
was
let's
17
see.
delayed with a couple of hours.
So you've missed one.
2.
You missed, Carlton's missed 2. You missed 1.
I didn't
and-
miss any.
Yeah, you did.
What did I miss? You just told me I had a perfect score. He's the one that missed one.
Did you say? Yeah, you got perfect score. That's right. Yeah. All right, you got. All right.
I told you not to be stupid, you moron.
Here's one. Astronaut John Young was launched in space 6 times. True or false?
Ooh. That is a trick question. I'm going to say true.
I'm going to say true.
John Young was launched in space 6
It's
times.
a number. I know it's a number, but it's more than the normal.
True.
You say you launched 6 times. I say that's false.
Oh, I know. Oh, I knew.
You say false.
False.
You say
Wait a minute. I'm trying to count.
No, I know which one I missed. Yeah.
Ah,
yes.
I say 6.
The correct answer is it's false. He was launched 7 times.
7.
Because you have
Because
to
of
look at
2
the
Gemini,
surface.
2 Apollo,
And
2
one
shuttle,
lunar,
and once
one
off the moon.
Marty goes, that's right. You went easy. Got back on my stage.
So the 2 brothers are tied with the most, and you're bringing up the rear, Carlton.
I'm Florida. No, I was Virginia educated.
So one more here. And
would
this
be-
is to break the tie between the brothers here. There are 181 known moons in the solar system. True or false?
Known
Yes.
solar system.
I'm not tricking you this 182 or 180. Okay. There's a lot of moons, like 180 moons in our solar system.
True.
True?
In our solar system. Okay, so that's how many did you say?
181, says Mr. Winkle. This is to break the tie between you and your brothers.
False.
False? You say true?
I say true.
False.
False? The correct answer is true. Mark Usciak, you win today's prize. We're giving you this Godzilla as a prize there for you to keep. All right.
Winner's buying dinner tonight. Is
That's
irrelevant.
right.
I have
Well, let
I
me-
have a little return trivia question
Yes.
to Mr. Winkle.
Oh, all right there, Marty.
What was the original launch date for Apollo 1 if it would not have had the accident?
The mic's not working.
The original mic. That's a good one.
His mic's not working, so he can't.
Well, the UCX are going to have to buy us another one, Marty. Call Vicky up. Get her to cut the check.
I don't know the answer to that, but I feel like I won. I was able to stump each one of you at least one time.
All right, Marty. Good job.
I
there.
think it was, let me take a shot at it. I think it was February 23rd, 1967.
February 21st, 1967, 7 a.m.
Wow. I'll give it to Tommy there to get that close on there.
See, I wasn't around down here during the Apollo days. I had to read it in the newspaper, and
Yeah.
our papers just, you know how news guys are.
I couldn't read. I was in, 2nd grade back in those. These old guys, they know everything.
That's
on that.
right.
Well, we hope that you've all enjoyed today's Stay Curious special program with these 3 amigos. Once again, privileged that they consider me a friend. Most importantly, they consider the American Space Museum their home away from home when you're here. So we hope that you all can do that too. Come and visit us. We'll have a busy week next week with a crew launch coming up. And we know, so if you're in town, stop on by. Just say, Mark said I don't have to pay, and then give me a $20 bill when you walk into our studio in here, okay? We'll work it out that way. So,
Thanks for having
thank
us.
you guys for being here. I thought it was a
Thank
special
you.
show.
Thanks for having
Thank you
us.
for all watching out there.
You never know what happens when we come on.
That's for sure. We want to just let everybody know that we think of the family of Carol Bobco as he's passed away. We get word of that. 86 years old, one of the true pioneers of our shuttle era. and he will be missed, and we'll be doing tributes about him next week.
He was involved in the Manned Orbiting Laboratory program.
That's
he gave,
right.
He
He was in
gave
this-
talks about that at Space Fest.
The
As
Skylab
well as
Medical
the
Experiment Altitude Test. We
Skylab
have,
Meet and MOL.
Yep, he was there with Thornton and
Crippen.
Crippen, and that's right. He was a mole astronaut, a manned orbiting astronaut there. So a real loss to the astronaut community. I'm sure they'll be honoring him at the scholarship Neil Armstrong event, Astronaut Scholarship Foundation, where they give away more scholarships. They've given away over $23 million, I think, over that time. The Scholarship Foundation set up by the original Mercury astronauts. So, guys, we thank you very much. We got Jeff Andrus there and Mike Baker are on our shows this week. So, once again, big space week here to launch Crew 7 to the International Space Station with Jasmine Mowgli is the rookie Marine commander, and a Russian, an ESA astronaut, and a Canadian astronaut, I think, all going up on this one. So
Middle of the
you're
night.
going to be covering the walkout and stuff like that, CB?
I do the crew arrival Sunday. I was approved to go. I'll do the crew walkout and put remotes out. And the launch right now, I think, is Wednesday night, Thursday morning at 3:49. It's the 25th at like 3:40
Yeah,
something in the morning.
All right. Well, we'll be all over that tomorrow for you all on Facebook, and our program here as we'll outline probably on Tuesday the cruise on there. So thank you all for watching. Thank you all for telling your friends to watch. And like I said, if you can give us a little donation there on our program here today, it was a special one. So until next week, I'm thanking Marty Winkle not only for a great Streamlabs job, but for stumping the amigos here at least one time. I'm Mark Marquette saying that we can't wait to see you again. To what, guys?
Bridge
the space between us.